Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about the gremlins that have been besetting us here in the Mara for the last little while, but it seems like we're back, and we're still with this incredible scene playing out in this lugger. We've got some more hyenas that arrived. They don't look too excited to jump into the cold water. Oh, look at that little one chasing. Kaylin says, I just love the hyena falling in the water. Well, Kaylin, I'm hoping we're going to get a bit more of it. I want a bit more of a spectacular leap and sort of give them points out of 10 for their jump into the putrid water. Our vultures are having the best time of it. There we go, being chased again. The bonus of flight, enabling them not to have to swim to get to the meal. Here we go. Is the little one going to be the first to make the leap? Being really exciting, chasing each other about. Out in the river. Welcome back, everyone. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties this afternoon. There are a huge amount of very large storms around, but one of the hyenas took the plunge and has now decided, after a big chunk of rotting buffalo, that it's probably nicer outside of the water. So again, they keep falling in and now trying to find the way out. Here we go. Comes around. Oh, swimming hyena. That looks like a much more sensible place to get out of the water. But there's still two hyenas who haven't made the plunge yet, that are scuttling about on the edge. Oh, here we go. Up. Billy is wondering, would the flesh in on a carcass rot quicker out of water or in water? I'd say it all depends on the climate around. So normally, I would say out of water in hot parts of the Africa, like for Juma example. But in cooler parts, it'll probably rot slower in the water. And in hotter parts, for that matter. Sorry, I wasn't making much sense there. It's still incredible watching these vultures. Oh, look. It's still... Now, Joy's wondering, would the lions ever try get on this? Joy, it is a possibility, but it all depends on how hungry they are. If they're hungry enough, they definitely would try get on it. But if they're not, they'd probably choose not to eat this difficult carcass. Now, you might find lions might go into the water there to pull the carcass to the side. I have seen them do that before. And let's see if this hyena possibly does that. Push it. Oh. Stay away, vultures. We've got a problem-solving hyena, or is it greed and food going to get the better of it before it manages to push it into the shallow water? Hello, Francis in Israel. Francis says they must be really, really hungry to be doing this. Not at all, Francis. A hyena is the ultimate opportunist, and they have no problem eating absolutely putrefying rotten meat, and their stomachs are able to handle it, and this is a lovely, easy, free meal for them. They're also quite big fans of water, so it's a double bonus for them. Dave is wondering, are the vultures safe from the hyenas? Dave, the hyenas will chase the vultures, but it's very, very seldom they actually ever catch one. See? Come on. Can't eat and balance on a carcass at the same time. You can see the rain is starting to fall a little bit where we are. You'd think the hyenas would push it towards shallower water and then make it much easier for them to feed on it. Well, apparently a lot of people are saying yuck, yuck, yuck. Well, I think I might go for a swim in there just now. No, of course, I'm only joking. That water is very, very smelly. Now, that little one, is it finally going to make the plunge? Kathy is wondering, are hyenas strong enough to pull it completely out of the water? They are, Kathy. Most definitely, maybe not yet, but maybe once it breaks up a little bit. But they could definitely, with the buoyancy of the carcass, sort of push it towards the shallower side. There we go. See, it's a floating buffalo. Buffalo carcass that's, as I said, alive. And this can be quite one. Oh, there's a vulture in the water. I've lost sight of it for now. It's the one biting everyone else. You can see it's slightly bigger than the other vultures, and it's got that pale beak. Dave is wondering, am I sure the buffalo wasn't struck by lightning? I'm not, Dave, but I don't know how the buffalo died. I spotted the vultures and hyenas from a distance and came in here. So we are starting to get a bit of rain, so I'm just lifting up the windscreen. We have closed up the one side of our vehicle, but it looks like we might get engulfed from both sides by storms. Oh, next vulture crash. Oh dear. And out again. Now is the little hyena going to chase it for good measure? Why not? Emma says, I'm gagging just at the thought of the smell. Well, yes, it's not the best smell I've ever smelt, Emma, I won't lie to you. But if you're a hyena or a vulture, it's an absolutely delicious smell. It's as good as a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Giraffe-centric says, do I think the buffalo might have fallen in while trying to get a drink? I don't. There's a lot of areas on this side of the the little river that the buffalo could have very easily walked up to, like along here, and no problem at all. Oh, Vulture, what are you doing? There's some more vultures just landing, so there could be a bit of competition. There's a nice one coming in now, Jar. There we go. Vroom, landing gear out. Duk, 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 duk. And there's the little hyena, frustrated because it hasn't tried to take the leap for some rotting buffalo, so it keeps chasing the vultures around. Now, the hyena den's not too far from here, and that's a little, or a sub-adult, probably just under a year or so old. Ladybird would like to know, is that a mini waterfall? Well, a waterfall might be a strong word. I'd say a drop, possibly, yes, in the little lugger. Okay, so I think we're going to say goodbye to... Oh, wait. All our friends who've joined us for this action broadcast. And we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to sit here for a bit longer, see what else gets going, see if more hyenas arrive. So you never know when we could go live. So from myself and Jahawi, it's been great. Hopefully we'll see you a bit soon. You never know, we might find lions hunting 5 minutes down the road. But toodaloo for now.
And back with me. So, I sounds like Brent has been having the most amazing time with his hyenas. It really, really does. I've given up on trying to predict which way the storms blow in this place. I could have sworn that storm was coming straight at us, but it's blown away and it's actually headed more in Brent's direction and left us with almost patches of blue sky. So I put one side up, left one side down, in the hope that, oh goodness, sorry, Arch, in the hope that somehow that's covering both of our bases. And if the storm hits, then we can cover up quickly. I don't know, I give up. I can't see when the covers are down. I can't keep dry when the covers are up. No sign of the Angamas. I've been searching for them while you've been with Brent. I've been looking in all of their favorite places and I just can't find them. Oh, this road's a mess. Ooh, rainy mess. Wait a minute. This isn't the road I want to be on. Is it? Is it? It is the road I want to be on. That's a really very good question from possibly Tony, possibly somebody else. I couldn't really hear Alice there, but it's a very good question about Tony. It was Tony. Why it is the animals migrate out of the Mara when it's so green at this time of year. And that is a really very good question. And the answer is because it's even better, essentially, it's even better where they migrate to. So they've done away with most of the grasses in this area, and they go across, and it's nature's way of ensuring that a place doesn't get overutilized. So it's not, remember, not every animal migrates. It's just the million plus wildebeest and a good couple of 100,000 zebra. But not all of them migrate, so a lot of them stay here. Oh goodness, sorry Arch. A lot of them stay in this area. So it's still being utilized, but it's nature's way of ensuring it's not overutilized, because there were places in the Mara, when the wildebeest came through in the numbers that they did, it looked like a fire had been through. And if they stayed in those massive numbers, it would have done eventually quite serious damage to the grass. But grasses are meant to be grazed, but not too much. So they go back where there's good quality grasses to the south, back into Tanzania, and then they give birth. Ladybird says the grass is always greener on the other side. That is essentially how it works. So they basically bounce backwards and forwards. To oversimplify a considerable amount, they basically bounce backwards and forwards. They eat all the grass and then they come somewhere else and then they do it again. Essentially. Right, as we continue on our search for the lions, as I said, I think Brent is having the most amazing time with his hyenas. Let's go back across them and see if they are enjoying a floating dining room.
Well, a floating dining room indeed. The problem for this little hyena, the one who's sort of been umming and ahhing about getting in, is it's not quite as tall as the others. So it can't put its back legs on the ground while feeding. And the floating dining room tends to move from time to time. And especially when the vultures land on it, it sends the hyena sort of plummeting under the water. And he's very upset when that happens. And it is enjoying it immensely at the moment. The others have just flopped down in the grass around here, and they'll possibly feed off this carcass for a couple of days. Oh, there we go. Another one has appeared. Oh, a vulture climbing up. Dimitri's wondering, are hyenas still considered to have the strongest bite in the animal kingdom? Not in the animal kingdom, but in the mammalian. Oh, there we go. Oh. Shame. It looks thoroughly miserable when it's swimming around. But in the mammalian kingdom, yes, they have the strongest bite force of about 900 pounds. Oh, there we go. See, the vultures spun it around and the poor hyena's struggling. Oh, dear. Come on, climb back on. Get onto that rotten, smelly buffalo. Oh dear, oh, slipping again. And the vulture has now got itself in a prime position. This is hilarious. There we go. Safely on, for now, the floating carcass. And it's starting to rain a bit harder now. Kestrel fox bobbing for bovine. Oh dear, oh, you nearly went over again. Now what we really need is another hyena to join in the fun. And from the opposite side, and see you can sort of balance the buffalo best. Vulture, stop moving the carcass. Let's see how long it takes for the... Candy says hyenas look adorable when wet. Let's see how long it takes for the vultures to join again. Oh, next hyena looks like it's going to take the plunge. Making funny noises before it does. Ooh, ooh, cold. Looking for a more sensible way to approach the water's edge. No. Whoa. Jessica is wondering, do vultures also eat everything, even the bones? Jessica, the vultures are unable to break bones with their beak. Well, this is the first hyena who's used the easy way in. Still doesn't look too excited about going any further just yet. First, it's going to add some urine to the mix of rotting buffalo that is in the water at the moment. Maybe it's trying to warm it up a tad before going deeper. It really looks like someone who doesn't like the cold, who's trying to ease their way into a cold swimming pool. Dave says, go on, little man. Dave, I'm not sure whether it's a little man or a little girl, but I'm sure there is a little drop-off at some point, because I've seen adult hyenas go underwater here a little bit further forward. There we go, slowly, slowly. I think it's going to be very funny when it finds that deeper hole. Giraffe Centric says, this is so interesting and so funny at the same time. It is a fascinating sighting, and it is always wonderful to see stuff you don't see every day. Savor says that poor hyena is probably thinking water equals crocodiles. Well, these Mara hyenas spend a lot of time in water. Oh, there we go. Oh, deeper. Uh-oh. Are you going to try scuttle for the side now? Oh. Oh. Oh, he just got a little bit of floating meat that's come off the buffalo without having to go all the way into the deep water. Uh-oh. Is he going to keep moving? James is wondering, would jackal do the same thing? I don't think so, James. Jackal probably wouldn't go this deep into the water. They might feed off it if it's right on the edge, but not plunging like that. There we go. Swim, swim, swim. Now, let's see if two hyenas could, feed on a floating buffalo, or are they going to upend each other? Oh, complaining at the one that's just arrived. Now we just need the third one up top to just bomb drop onto the buffalo. Oh, there we go. Upset the apple cart. Deciding, no, this is not fun. I'm out of here. Hi, Lily. He's 6 years old. Nice to have you with us today, Lily. Lily says they should just eat the birds and they wouldn't get so wet. Yes, I agree, Lily, but unfortunately for them, the birds are quite quick and always just manage to keep out of their way. And, well, they don't have to... Well, this one is fighting to go try get to the buffalo, but normally with that buffalo carcass it's much easier. The meat's nice and rotten, so it's soft, so they don't have to chew too much, whereas I think a vulture also probably doesn't taste quite as nice as a buffalo. Are we going to get another leap? Come on, you can do it. Jump! Jump! Hello, Joy, who's in Hong Kong, and Joy's wondering why there are so few hyenas. Joy, the rest of them are actually quite close by. They're just having a nap. They've probably been feeding on this carcass all day, and there's quite a few adults. These are all sort of sub-adults, but the rest of them are lying in the long grass around here. So they are probably close on 10. There we go, chase the vulture away. Climb back onto your buffalo. There we go. There's probably 10, 12 hyenas around here. So there are quite a few hyenas. We just can't see all of them at the moment because they're in the long grass. The brown fox is wondering how fast are hyenas in comparison to vultures. We're getting a bit of drippity here. The vultures are are quite quick and they can take off quite quickly, and that's obviously a development from being able to avoid predators around carcasses, but more specifically for lions. But for hyenas, there's no real reason for them to really attack and kill a vulture, just to try to keep them away from the carcass. I'm just going to move the car slightly just to change the drip so it's not dripping in. Sorry, I'm just going to move a little bit. We'll be back with those hyenas in a second. Just trying to stop the rain dripping in on me and, more importantly, on some of our electronic equipment. There we go. EP is wondering, would this watering hole have a leech? I don't know, and I don't plan to find out anytime soon either. But it is possible. I know there are leeches in Lake Victoria, which is not too far from here. I'm sure there are leeches in the Mara River as well. But you got lots of different types of leeches, and in this part of Africa, as far as I'm aware, most of the leeches are the small, very small, sort of half a centimetre or so in size, and they don't take too much blood. But I have had big leeches on me in the Central African rainforests before. And it seems to have found the right sort of spot to be able to balance and eat at the same time without falling over for now. Kaylin wants to know if there's any health risk to the hyenas for eating a buffalo in that state of decay and in the water. No. Hyenas will eat stuff that's far more rotten than that. They are evolved to do that. This is their ecological niche. So, no, they are quite happy eating stuff that's even worse than that. And so are vultures, so are lions, so are leopard. They're all able to eat completely putrid meat. Gangreney, smelly, literally green slime meat that sort of just disappears. They can all eat that. But good news, while our hyena continues to munch upon this decaying buffalo, let's go across to Jamie, who's got some kitty cats.
I found one kitty cat, but it's quite a big kitty cat, so it comes as a tremendous relief. Now that the storm has blown away, we've come across towards the, how do I describe this? The lugger that runs between the Little Governor's Entrance and Ulololo Gate. Or at least towards... Oh, listen, listen, listen. She's calling. And listening. Tatty Ears, one of the marsh breakaway lionesses. She stopped calling for now. She's calling for the rest of her pride. I know this lioness. One of the 3 marsh breakaway lionesses. So this is the pride that we regularly see around here. They've got some gorgeous cubs. Although I don't see any sign of the rest of them. When I first arrived, she was looking across at a herd of buffalo. I'm not sure how hungry she is. Is it odd? I don't know if it's because we're not often here, so we don't watch them enough. We don't observe them enough. It is an area where we can't off-road, so we can't often get... Well, a lot of the time we can't get close to them. But this is the 3rd time I've found one lioness all by herself and calling for the rest of the pride in this exact spot, almost within a couple of meters or 50 meters radius. Why? Why does that always happen? Unless there's one lioness that keeps coming into heat or estrus because she doesn't have cubs. Because that would sort of explain it. If she keeps getting separated while she's mating and then she's trying to find them again. Because not all of the 3 lionesses have cubs, so maybe that's why. But I don't know. I'm not certain on that. That's speculation. Pure and simple. Maggie, you want to know if lionesses are ever solitary? Yes, occasionally. Almost, in fact, invariably, under some kind of tragic circumstance. So what I mean by that is the rest of their pride has been killed, or they've tried to get away with cubs and from a male takeover, and then the cubs have died and they haven't managed to regroup with their pride. They are not naturally solitary beings. A natural unit of lions is a pride. They don't like to spend time on their own. They don't like to be solitary. And you'll see it even when a lioness is mating with a male, to be honest. In the times that I've seen them, although they accept it with a sort of calm resolution, they do still want to be with the rest of the pride. And you'll watch the male blocks the female all the time while she's trying to rejoin the rest. So their natural state is social. So to see a lioness on their own, it's usually quite a tragic situation. And occasionally, you get stories of lone lionesses. Sorry, there's so many fluttering termite alates that keep trying to fly into my face. Occasionally you hear tales of lionesses on their own because the rest of their pride has been killed by people, which is utterly tragic. For whatever reason, whether it's through poison or they've been hunted, killed as retribution for damage to livestock. Now that's not something that we'd encounter here. I can safely tell you that this lioness is not on her own. She is at the moment, but the rest of her pride will be around, possibly further up the lugger. You know, she's calling to them, but she's not really making a huge effort yet. She will tonight, I imagine, when it comes time to reunite. But I think we're going to sit with her until we've summed up the situation properly. I don't see any other vehicles, so it doesn't look like anybody else has found the rest of the pride. And I can guarantee there'd be vehicles because there'd be cubs there, so people would be around. Hey, pretty girl. You are lovely. Looking, listening, the 3 males, or 3 of the Kichwa males, are somewhere around this region. I know this, because I was told so. That's actually why I came in this direction, was to try and find them. Let's try and get a bit around towards the front of her head. The front of her head. That didn't make any sense. Let's just get a better angle is what I was going for. Perhaps she'll call softly for us again. And if we're really lucky, we might even see the reunion. Don't know why she's on her own, though. Oh, sitting right on the edge of a bank. Let me just do a... Bear with me, I'm just going to go ahead and then turn around and come face the other way. Do a quick check, make sure there's no lions here. Dave, she looks like an older lioness. Oh, she's calling. She looks like an older lioness to me. Let's have a look at her teeth. Such a stunning, awe-inspiring sound. Now she's going to listen for them to call back. The last time this happened, the other lionesses listened, but they never actually responded. How beautiful is that? Francis from Israel, you say it sounds like she's in pain. I don't think she is. I think she's absolutely fine. I really do. It's just her, just the way that she's calling. Now she's listening very, very intently for the sound of a response. I said she was an older lioness, but now that I look at her teeth, I've changed my mind. I don't think she is that old. Tatty ears are often a sign that they are, or that an animal is a bit older, but not always. She's got quite a dark nose, but she's also got very, very intact teeth, and they don't look overly yellow. I'll find out for you. It shouldn't take me too long to find out. I can research that pretty quickly, now that I know which pride she belongs to. Oh, Alice, I'm so sorry. I'm struggling to hear you. What was that name? Gus, apologies. Now, Gus says, how far can lions call for each other? They can call, their calls will cover a distance of potentially, it depends on the temperature and the ambient conditions and where they are in terms of the layout of the land. Obviously, if they're in a dip, then their call is not going to travel as far because the sound is absorbed by the land around them. But you're looking at, on average, between 5 and 10 kilometers, possibly even more. Remember that their hearing is so much more sensitive than ours. A lion's roar at its loudest, something I learned from our viewers, is 114 decibels. Now she might just call again. She's still listening intently. There's no sign or any sort of noise around her. There's no calling in response. Lots and lots of buffalo around, but they're not too bothered. They know that she's there. They've seen her. So you'll have seen them around behind her. Just listening. Although I think she's going to. Alates! Termite alates everywhere. I think she might just call again. So let's just sit patiently with her for a second. Always seen this lioness on her own. Well, almost always. I wish I could remember which one of the three she is. Okay, I'm going to rack my brains because I know this lioness. I know her well. I know she's part of the marsh breakaways. I'm just trying to remember which individual she is. So while I figure that one out, let's head across to Brent and find out if his afternoon is continuing in the same vein in which it began.
Well, it is. We're still playing, well, not so much patience, we're just enjoying, because there's another hyena that's just arrived that looks very interested in jumping into the water. But again, it's sort of that hesitant, oh, should I do it? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? And it must be so tantalizing because the carcass is so close. Come on, you can do it. Jump. Jump into the cold water. So close yet so far. Now, the brown fox is asking, what is the difference between male and female hyena? Well, it's sometimes quite difficult to tell the difference between them, especially in a scenario like this. But oh, we're sneaking. So because the female hyenas have pseudo-penises and pseudo-testes and very high androgen levels and can be bigger than the male hyenas, So it can be quite difficult to tell the difference between them. But other than that, the male has a real penis and real testicles, whereas a female has pseudo testes and a pseudo penis. The pseudo penis is actually an enlarged clitoris, and they don't have a normal birthing canal like most female mammals. They actually give birth through that pseudo penis, and it is also almost, well, every single one of their first litters, every female hyena has a litter of cubs. The first litter dies because that canal is quite small and quite tight, and they actually suffocate. And only normally the second litter of cubs that is born survive. Now, there could be some, apart from the fact that they need to open up that system so that the cubs can pass, there could be an evolutionary advantage that during that first litter, the female's maybe not old enough or experienced enough to care for cubs. So then once she has her second litter, she's probably in a better position to be able to raise those cubs successfully. But generally, the biggest difference you can tell with the hyenas is their behavior. The females are rampantly more dominant over the males and will often beat them up. So your lowest ranking female hyena is still higher ranking than the highest ranked male in the clan. Ladybird is wondering, does a wet hyena smell worse than a wet dog? Indeed it does, much worse. Well, unless your dog has been eating rotting meat. Now, strangely enough, I have smelt a dog that's been eating rotting meat, and it smells quite vile. But definitely I'd say a wet hyena smells a lot worse. Now, what happens is a lot of people who have their domestic dogs at home think that their dog would never do this, what this hyena is doing at the moment. And I won't mention any names, but there's quite a well-known lady who lives in a small town in northern Botswana where I grew up, and she was the only person there who had French poodles, white, immaculately groomed French poodles. And a donkey died in the Tamalakani River in front of her house. And with all the village dogs that were getting stuck in the water with this rotting donkey, there were two not-so-white French poodles after they'd been inside the stomach area of the donkey fighting the local village dogs off. So your domestic dog at home would do exactly the same as these hyenas, with just as much rotten, with the meat just as rotten. Oh, have we got a waterfall jumper? Are you going to jump off the waterfall? No. Now, I think we're probably going to move on from here now. See if we can find any lions or whatever else might be here. I might pop back in here a little bit later, see if there are more hyenas have arrived and there's more leaping off the waterfall or mini waterfalls into the putrid water that we know for sure is full of rotting buffalo and some hyena urine so far. But I'm sure there's probably quite a lot of vulture dung as well. Okay, so we're going to move off, and while we do that, we're going to send you back to Jamie, who seems to have figured out the mystery of that lioness.
Kinney. Her name is Kinney. It was driving me absolutely mental because I knew her. So it was within this pride, we've got Jicho, meaning I, Achille, and Kinney. Achilles the youngest. I haven't seen her in a while. I've seen Jicho a few times, but that is who we're looking at. So Kinney, I can find out her age for you, because quite a huge amount is actually known about the marsh pride, and of course therefore the marsh breakaway lionesses. Now she's got very, very, very distinctive ears, and that's how I recognize her. It was driving me absolutely crazy because I knew I'd seen her before. You see those notches, particularly out of her right ear. So if I had to guess, I'd put her somewhere around 7, 8 years old, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how old she is. If I remember correctly, Achille, I think, is her daughter. Or is it? No, I can't remember. There's so many different facts in lion prides that we have to try and remember that to keep them straight in our heads initially can be a confusing thing. But I know that she's from the marsh breakaway females. I know her name is Kini. As for where Chicho and Achille are, well, that's a different question. I've just been watching the cars investigate. Kimberly, you say good job for solving the mystery. Thank you. I should have actually solved it a long time ago. It was just one of those blank moments where I could remember seeing her and knowing exactly where I saw her, and it wasn't actually me who solved any kind of a mystery. I got that information from Stan Starr, who runs who's a very Mara enthusiast and actually runs one of the groups, the Facebook groups on the big cats of the Mara. He was the one who told me exactly which lioness this was. So, I mean, it's largely thanks to them that this was known about them. So I think I'm about to get into trouble for being 2 meters off the road. Let's find out. Give me 1 second. Jambo, habari? Hi. So, we have solved the mystery of the lioness. There we go. I'm not in trouble at all. I was actually turning round. I didn't mean to park here, but then she started roaring, and it sort of just kind of happened. So we've solved the mystery, but actually, technically, I don't claim any credit for that. And Sandy was the one who actually... What is that? Can you see it there, Arch? What on earth is that? Can you see it? No, sorry, not the car. Hold on. I'm going to have to move us. What is that? It looks like a... Is it a pig? No, it can't be. What is that? There, sorry, over there. No, don't disappear, don't do this to me. There, it's running over there. Can you see it? Looks like a... Oh no, I've lost it. There it is. Can you see it? It's a dog. It's a dog. I'm just going to catch the rangers quickly. Sorry, Arch, you can come back? I've got a race to catch the rangers. They've just come past me. It's a dog. I knew it was a dog. Right, the immediate urgency with a situation like this is the dogs walked in from the communities. When a dog walks in from communities, it could just be lost. It could also be... It's going straight in there. It could also be disorientation from rabies. So there are no fences between the reserve and the park. Obviously you can see that dog, it's wandered in. I'm going to catch up with the rangers to tell them, because I've got to tell them immediately. Cannot have dogs wandering around in the Mara Triangle. Ah, come back. I've got phone numbers. I've got phone numbers to call. Oh, sorry, Arch, but that dog's going to disappear into the forest. It's not the first dog I've seen, but most of them were very close to the villages. Flashing my lights in the hope that it's going to attract their attention. I don't want the lioness to see it. Okay, guys, I'll be with you in a second. I just have to go and catch up with the rangers, and I want to tell them immediately and possibly help them find it again. So bear with me. I'm going to send you over to Brent so that I can have this conversation with them. Stop!
Hello, welcome back. Well, that's a little bit sad, but as we've explained in the past before, domestic dog is a really big threat in a wildlife area. So a very good friend of ours did his master's thesis on rabies, and one of the first signs of rabies, which only came out from his master's thesis, is confusion in domestic dogs. So basically, the further you find a dog away from its home, the more in a wildlife area. Basically, I think it's every 5 kilometers, the chance that it has rabies increases by 20%. So that's why Jamie is getting hold of the rangers quite quickly there. And of course, rabies is a very, very dangerous disease, especially in social animals like lions and hyenas, because they're so social that if one of them gets it, it can go through a whole population or a whole pride or a whole clan very quickly. So that's why it needs to be dealt with pronto. Now I know this spot. It doesn't look so bad, but it is. So it's quite deep. Well, whoopa, see what I mean? There we go. Okay, so while we meander on, we're going to switch across to the Juma stream, which seems to be more stable and hopefully will help deal with our gremlins. So bear with us for a few minutes while Juma start up their side. So toodles, we'll see you just now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to South Africa, to the Sabi Sands, to Juma. I am Noelle, and on camera I have Seb. Hello, Seb.
Hello, everyone.
He says hello. So it is 26, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have a little bit of a blue sky that was showing with a bit of clouds. Beautiful, puffy clouds. Lots of insect activity with all of this bit of overcast, but it's nice and warm. It's slightly humid from all the moisture that we've been having. And hopefully tomorrow, with a bit of sunshine, everything is going to be even more green than it already is. So Seb and I are busy going to go check the western side of our property. I'm not quite sure what I feel like seeing today. I'm kind of in the mood for wild dogs again. But while I'm busy trying to find something wonderful to show you, Ralph has already found something cheeky for you to see.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on our afternoon game drive here on Juma concession in the Sabi Sands of the Kruger National Park in South Africa. It's a lovely afternoon. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and please join us on Twitter, #SafariLive, and on the YouTube live chat. At the moment, we've just started out, and we've found some monkeys. They are feasting on the flying ants, as we call them. Even though they aren't ants, they're termites. All the alates have come out, and they are exiting their nests, and they're forming an amazing food source. So we're going to see all sorts of birds and monkeys coming to feed on them. And we just stopped here. We saw a whole host of monkeys. They literally sit right in front of the hole, and then they start to feed on the termites as they come out the hole. We also see a lot of the frogs and things like that, like lizards, etc. And they go right in front of the hole, and they start to feed on that. So we've been looking out for a couple of small little things like this, feeding on the termites. Lovely source of protein. Now, this afternoon's game drive, we're going to be looking for the big cats. The rain that we have had is going to have washed all their markings away. And so I'm pretty sure that a lot of the leopards are going to be out remarking their territories. And as VM has just showed you there's still a little bit of a chance of rain. However, it is a nice 20 degrees, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit in that region. It is fluctuating as the clouds come and go, as the sun pokes through. But our aim for this afternoon's drive is to look for some of the predators moving around, but with this amazing food source coming out, there's also going to be all sorts of smaller things that we can stop and have a look at. So I'm going to start up and move on a little bit. These monkeys have moved off a little bit because of our presence. There are some Impala up in front here, so we might. And then, as I say, we're going to get onto the track of these big cats. The Styx Pride and the Nkuhumas have been around, but they're up in the northern parts near Buffels Hook, so we're not too sure that we're going to catch up with them just yet. However, I think the leopards are going to be showing themselves quite early this afternoon, trying to re-establish those territories. So as we pull up here, I'm just going to switch off because we can see some of these lovely young Impala up front. Nice little babies. We're seeing a whole host more of them at the moment. So please fire away your questions and your comments. And there's that little youngster. Look, he's still not so sure on his feet just yet. But everything seems to have enjoyed the overnight rain. And we've had a whole host of different insects and reptiles out. All the tortoises were out on the road this morning, and it's almost like the animals have come out of their holes after the rain, and everything's starting to show itself again. So it's a very exciting time to be out on this afternoon's game drive, because I think we're gonna find some amazing sightings. And those little babies, even though they're so young, they already start to have their little head butts. Right, let's move forward a little bit and let's see what these Impala might show us. We did hear off onto the southern side. VM's just said that he spotted these monkeys again. Let's have a look. Let's see. Those monkeys were feeding lovely on all the flying termites. Remember, they're going out now to start their new colonies, taking with them the spores from the mushrooms that they need to cultivate underneath the ground. So they're going to be going out and starting the new colonies. Look at those monkeys there. All after those termites. You know, we can also eat these termites. They taste very much like peanut butter and an extremely good source of protein. So with these monkeys having seen that they're now exiting their holes, they will also be after that. And something quite interesting that we often think about, if you if you watch monkeys, generally humans can eat almost everything that monkeys can eat. So if you see monkeys eating something, it's generally safe for humans to eat as well. They've got a very similar stomach acid to us. However, if you see baboons eating certain things, you must not mimic baboons, because they can eat things that we cannot. So it will turn your stomach inside out. They'll eat poisonous things that they'll be able to digest, but not us humans. So if you'd like to know what we can feed on, you mimic monkeys. They show us the way. Yes, everybody mentioning how cute this little monkey is. And as I say, he's going to be chasing all those alates, the primary reproductives. They'll be coming out the nest, and lovely food source, huh? He's just gone behind that bit of brush there. They're all chasing the alates. Donna, how do I know that termites taste like peanut butter? Well, because I've eaten quite a few of them. We've also sat like the monkeys. I do consider myself a bit of a monkey. We've also sat eating these termites as they come out. They're rather tasty. And some of the local people, what they actually do is they fry them up. And they actually taste quite nice. So if you ever at a loss for bar snacks or anything like that, and there's a lot of termites coming around, especially at night around the lights, you should have a try. They're not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to be carrying on looking out for all these little things and see what all the termites are going to attract. But I think Noel has something else with wings to show you.
I do have something to show you. I have a woodland kingfisher. There, you could just hear it there. But it was sitting so beautifully with the most gorgeous light on it. And of course, as birds do, it just flew away. But it's all right. There's two of them. There was a pair. And then there was a third one that came in and was busy trying to get into that little scenario there, and it didn't quite work out the way that any of them were hoping. So I can still hear them in the background. We're gonna maybe be able to get another visual. Right now, I just want to check the western boundary and see if we have any tracks from those wild dogs coming in and out, because I haven't been on the property for, I think, about a week now, so we're about due to have some wild dogs. So I'm just going to turn the vehicle around. And we will head up that way and cross fingers and hold thumbs that not only do we get tracks, but maybe they just want to come running down the road in our general direction and give us a bit of a show, which would be nice for everybody involved. Today has been slightly quiet. I know this morning we had some really great insect activity and a few little bookies in here and that. It seems as if everything big and hairy has gone to ground. It is Sunday, so you never know. Maybe they're off having a rest day. So when we check roads like what I'm doing now, basically for leopard, we're looking in these sort of little drainage systems. You just saw me go down, seeing if they're crossing over. Not that they always cross in the drainage systems, but it's a good place to start. And then for something like wild dog, look, they might cross straight over, but they generally like to come straight down a road as well. It also depends on what they're after and what their purpose is. If they're coming over for hunting, it could be a little bit different. Philippa, you're wondering what is the status of African wild dogs in the Kruger Park these days. So it's about the same as everywhere else in sub-Saharan Africa. They're highly endangered. The last numbers I had for the whole continent is about 3,500, probably just under. I believe the numbers for the Kruger Park area sits somewhere between 250 and 300. Sorry. This is a little bit of a bumpy patch. And so there's not many left, unfortunately. I do know that there's a concerted effort to do a lot more research on them. A friend of mine started something called Latest Sightings, and specifically Latest Sightings Kruger. And I know from chatting with him and chatting with some of the research guys, that has actually helped with the research in the Kruger National Park. Because before it was just one or two guys having to traverse 2 million hectares, so that's about 4.5 million acres. It's a huge property. You can fit Israel inside of Kruger National Park. It's ginormous. And now, because of this app that was created, when people add sightings onto there, it allows the wild dog researchers to gain more information. So I know that has helped quite a bit. Another thing that's kept the numbers down is the fact of just human encroachment. So the more humans push in towards wildlife areas, the more they bring things like dogs with them. And dogs bring with them canine distemper and rabies and direct dog. And then just the normal interaction between predators is also an issue for numbers. Is it back? Sorry about that. Just lost a little bit of signal through that dip there. So I think in general, the status is better than it has been. Oh my goodness, we have a Duiker. Are you going to stay in the road or no? He's just going to cross the road. Let's see if we can sneak up and maybe he'll stay put for us to get a nice visual. So in general, the status of wild dogs is better than it has been, but it's still not excellent. It is still something that we have to monitor and keep an eye out for. All right, so that's there. I can just see this little Duiker. Seb, let me know when you want me to stop. It's just here at our 11 o'clock. It's going to push up to our 10 o'clock just now. See there? All right, don't move, Duiker. Stay where you are. They usually, small antelope like this, either want to freeze or they want to run away. Now, this little fellow here is being very nice to us and at least allowing us a little view of its behind before it runs away. So I say fellow has tiny little horns. The females don't have any. There, you can just see them there. And he is a browser, carrying on eating leaves with a very strict territory. Him and his mate, they mate for life, will hold on to their territory together. Sorry, he's just gone behind the little thickets there. And you can see how well his camouflage blends in. I know Ralph was discussing with you guys this morning, and we did a little bit with our Nyala, about the colors of antelopes and how they blend into their surroundings. Let me just see if I can back up a little bit and get another view. There we are. So the tawny color with a little bit of lighter color underneath. Oh, fantastic. Doing a little bit of scent marking there. The little preorbital gland, a little gland that's right under the eye. Something that looks similar to a Duiker is a klipspringer. It's a little bit smaller, and they use that gland under the eye quite a lot. They stick sticks in it and put the gland secretions on the stick. It almost looks like tree sap when it hardens. But as you saw with that Duiker, he went right up to the tree and then just sort of rubbed the scent there. And that's to make sure that no other males come into his little territory, or females possibly for that matter. Very, very quiet as he walks. They do similar. We were chatting this morning about Nyalas doing on-track walking, so putting one foot down and the next foot in the same spot, and Duikers will do that as well. Not 100% of the time, but a good portion of the time. Again, to minimize the sound they make in the bush. There, that's a beautiful view. I think that's probably the best view of a Duiker I've had in a while. Thank you, Seb. He's looking a little bit thin for my liking, but I mean, look, it's difficult to get all the nutrition that you need in the dry season. It is a little bit of a push. Not that he's sick by any means, but a little bit, they're usually a little bit more round, a little bit more rotund. And it's interesting, I mean, we're looking at some leaves now. Not every leaf is edible. Joy, you're curious to know why he wouldn't want females in his territory? Because usually, Joy, with the territoriality, it's him and his female and his mate for life that are territorial together. And so that would be the reason. But that being said, I mean, let's say maybe his partner passes away. Then he wouldn't mind a female coming through. But I'm sure they have a little bit more of an advertisement for something, for a scenario that would work through that. But yeah, it's the territoriality is usually the pair together. These smaller antelope species tend to do mating for life. Klipspringer, Duiker, Steenbok, Dik, mate for life. It allows them to have their own little corner of the bush and to monitor this corner of the bush and to function within that little space quite well, as opposed to something that's larger like Impala or Nyala or Kudu that function within a sort of herd structure or a bachelor herd structure and roam a little bit farther because they're a larger group, not just the two. Okay, down our bumpy road we go. Ooh. So speaking of wild dogs and speaking of domesticated dogs that can affect wildlife, Jamie is up in the Mara and has seen a feral dog or possibly a rabid dog, depending, I'm not quite sure. Let's head up to her and see what update she has for us on that situation.
You're all desperate to know exactly what's happened. Let me try and explain the whole situation now that it wasn't such a rush. I really, really want to get to the ranges as quickly as possible because I know how difficult it's going to be to find this dog again. So chances are it's just a dog that wandered in from one of the communities. There's a close village not far away from here. Obviously it's close. There's a village up at the top of the escarpment. There are dogs around, domestic dogs, some feral dogs, and they do potter about and do their own thing. It's very, very unusual to see them here because this entire place has got the most amazing ranger system to make sure that something like that doesn't happen. But of course, sometimes things slip through the cracks. As I said, chances are it's just a lost little dog. There is a possibility a small possibility that it is a rabid dog. And because rabies causes disorientation, it's one of the early symptoms, and dogs don't tend to stray outside of their territory, so it's always a little bit of a warning sign when it's come wandering in. But it could also have had a fight with another male or something and come this way. So it was really quite essential, just on that small off chance, we notified the rangers. I caught them. Fortunately, they were as close as they were. They have immediately called for backup. They responded as quickly as possible. They immediately turned around, raced back in the direction where we'd seen the dog. Unfortunately, it's vanished, which I was worried about, but I had to make a call, and it was going into a forest where I wouldn't have been able to follow it anyway. So I'm helping them look for it, essentially. Hopefully we find it. Once we find it, then we'll gauge on its behavior exactly what the situation is, and it'll probably, most likely, get transported back towards the village, and no harm will come to it. That is provided it's not showing any signs of rabies. And rabies outbreak would have an absolutely devastating effect on the animals out here, and that is something that is definitely to be avoided. I can hear your name. I think it was Callan. Possibly Helen. I apologize. I can't fully hear Kirsty. But you want to know how rabies kills? Sorry, Kirst. I think you asked how rabies kills. It skyrockets the animal's temperature. It infects the brain, the lining of the membranes of the brain, and ultimately results in all sorts of catastrophic events within the animal itself. So you'll get the symptoms of excessive salivating, hydrophobia in most cases, and then massive organ failure from an incredibly high temperature, and dehydration. Dehydration will also play an enormous role because, as I said, the animal's hydrophobic. It doesn't like water, it's afraid of water. Now, I'm just going to focus quite hard while there's still a little bit of light on trying to help them find this dog. Let's send you back across to Ralph. I couldn't hear what he has, but that makes it even more of a surprise.
Right, folks, I did say we were looking for the big cats and in particular leopards, but we did find something quite similar in name in a couple of leopard tortoises. Now, the one in the front here is feeding, and the other one is quite interested in it. Now, I'm not sure if it's a male at the back who's quite interested in the female in the front, or if it's a male chasing a male, which they can also do. But quite interesting there, if the one on the back, VM, if you can go in nice and closely there on the scutes. Now, that's what we call those sort of blocks there on the shell itself. Those are scutes. If you look at those scutes, you can see the ridges. If you count those ridges, very similar to that of rings on a tree. If you cut a tree down and you look at the rings, you can actually age it. So I'm just looking on the screen here. It's quite difficult to do just on the screen without being right next to it, but you can actually age them by counting the little ridges on the scute. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I would say this small one at the back is ranging between 12 and 15 years old. So the one in the front, I would say, is probably between 15 and 18 years old, at least. But quite interesting that you can age them by those rings on the scute, quite similar to that of fish as well. If you look at the scales of fish, very similar to the scutes of a tortoise, and you can age them in exactly the same way. Take a scale and you will see the little rings almost identical to the scutes of a tortoise, and you will be able to age the fish. Now, these are quite small specimens if you look at how big leopards can grow, and already these two are in their middle to later teens. And the one in front definitely looking like a female, and I think the one at the back is a male indeed. And that's just because of that little tail section. It's obviously making it available for the male to be able to mate. Now, the one on the back, yes, underneath you can see there is a little bit of a sort of indent where he would be able to climb up on the female. Question from Philip: Would a male mount another male as a sign of dominance? I haven't seen them mounting each other. What they do, however, is they bash into each other with their shells, and the idea being to actually knock the other one upside down and leaving him to possibly be exposed upside down, not being able to return himself, and in such way actually kill him. So I haven't seen them mount each other. They do have that indent to enable them to be able to mount the female's shell itself to make it a little bit easier. I'm just going to reposition for VM to be able to view those tortoises. Now, the reason we do have our roof still on, as I said, is because there is still a real possibility of rain. Noel took a bit of a gamble. I'm not a gambling man myself. Maybe it won't pay off, maybe it will, but I'd rather be out with the roof on. Anyway, there does seem to be a hot chase going on here between these two tortoises. The one in front is looking to be definitely like a female. But I love to watch tortoises moving around. Now, down in the Eastern Cape, where I'm from, they get 3 to 4 times that size in general. Obviously, these ones can get that big, but on average in the Eastern Cape, we have the largest tortoises in Southern Africa, and there you see them 3 or 4 times the size of these individuals that are moving off here. And they get about 80 kilograms. They can live over 100 years. And the chelonia, or the shield reptiles, one of the oldest reptiles still living on the planet. Okay, since we've spotted those leopard tortoises, I think it's a good sign. I think it's a lucky sign. We're going to start moving off. And we're going to look for their namesake, but the big cats. And Jamie, up in the Mara, has got something a little bit more horned to show you.
Oh, we found ourselves a rhinoceros in the search for the dog. So not what I was looking for, but it was the direction that the dog was running in. So I figured sitting still might be just as productive as moving about. And since there's a rhino here, I would love to show it to you. Hey, you. Marching about. Of course, it's nice and cool and getting towards evening time, which is when the rhino are at their most active. They are essentially crepuscular. They spend most of the morning and the evening wandering about and feeding. They do also move around a lot at night. They often go to waterholes after dark. So there is a nocturnal aspect to their behavior as well. And this was actually what the two rangers were looking for. They knew where it was roughly. And that was why they were in the area that they were in, because they're actually dedicated to keeping an eye on the Mara's rhino. Shall we go see if we can get a little bit close to it? It might take us some time to get around. Oh, it's popping out and going away. But I see the road heads in that direction. And again, it's the direction that the dog was heading in. So it could... Oh, that's bush. I've got paranoia now, looking all around me. Now let's catch up with it quickly, because we should get a really nice view. Looked like a male from the way that it was urinating earlier. It's difficult to tell with size, especially at distance, whether you're looking at a male or a female rhino. But I think in this case, judging by the backwards direction of the urine, it was a male. There we go, I can see him up ahead. I wonder how close he'll let us come. I saw him earlier, actually. I did know he was here, but that was during the more frantic search. Oh, hold on, everyone. So the rangers know I'm in this direction, keeping watch as well. So they have moved. We're all sort of rotating around each other to look for it. Hello. Okay. Can see your head up. I know you're listening to me. That's all right. You know what vehicles sound like. If we keep going on the line that we're in, we're going to be right up close to it, which would be wonderful and rare. Not often we get to experience that. Nice and slow. Let's just gauge his reaction very carefully. I don't want to frighten him. But there are black rhino that are completely comfortable. Hello, Billy, who is 5 years old. Hello and welcome. Now, Billy wants to know how old rhinos can get to. They can live up to 40 years old, Billy, so they can actually get quite old. 40 years. Between 30 and 40 years. Hello, my boy. No. No. Okay, as soon as he backs down, I'm going to back off, because he is going to definitely thinking about giving us a charge. Hello, boy. Don't do it. So I'm talking because his eyesight's bad. No, don't be full of nonsense. Okay, my boy. Alright. Definitely a male. Okay. Alright. As soon as he moves backwards, I'm going to move backwards as well. Okay. Because as soon as I start the engine, there's a chance he's going to want to come straight at the sound. Okay. Okay, my boy. Alright. You've heard people before. See, I'm a person. Hey, you myopic creature. Okay. There we go, my boy. Here we go. All right. Yeah, it's okay. So this is indecisive still. I've seen Rhino do this. They turn around and then they come back again. So we're just going to sit nice and still. Okay, boy. Hey! Which way is the wind blowing? It's barely blowing. So what he's probably going to try and do is get downwind of us. So he might circle us a little bit. Just hold on a moment. Let's just wait and see what he does. Because, yes, there he is. He's coming round us. That's what black rhino often do. So he's going to try a circle. Hello, boy. Okay, he's calmed down a lot. There we go. So in a situation like that, obviously I don't want to frighten him, but he's now relaxed again, and I could cause more potential fear by racing or revving away from him. And also, quite honestly, just like an elephant, he'll learn that it's a fun game, and he can chase cars away. Now, all I wanted to do was talk to him now. As soon as he gets at a comfortable distance where I can turn the engine on, then I'm going to move away from him. Hey, mister, although he's doing it all by himself, quite calm and relaxed now. He's still turning his head back towards the sound of my voice, but he's just moving off. Sorry, boy. Didn't mean to give you a fright. Okay. And off he goes. So I've had black rhino encounters where they are as comfortable with a vehicle as a cow. So they can be entirely relaxed, and already he's relaxed again in our company. So I'm going to move off, give him his space, carry on the search for the dog. Let's head across to Brent, who really truly is having an afternoon for the scavengers.
Well, this is very exciting. I'm just very sad this thing didn't appear yesterday. This is definitely a new bird for everyone's Mara lists. And Jahowie and I were shocked when we saw it take off. It's a bit lost. They're not supposed to occur here. But it is a juvenile palm nut vulture. Isn't that exciting? That is definitely a first for me in the Mara. We saw quite a lot of them while we were in Uganda, but I didn't think they occurred here, and I checked my map and they don't. But there we go. That is a lovely record of a palm nut vulture in the Maasai Mara. I'm going to have to speak to my birding friends to see how many of them have seen palm nut vulture in the Maasai Mara. I think a few of them are going to be a little bit jealous. Isn't that exciting? Can see the very distinct beak. So palm nut vultures are quite interesting. They do a lot of competing with fish eagles normally around the big river systems and lakes, and they will steal a lot of food from fish eagles, chase them off the fish that the fish eagles have caught. Now, of course, they get their name, the palm nut vulture, is because during or when the raffia palms start fruiting, they are very, very fond of eating the palm fruit. That is so exciting. Palm nut vulture. That is a really big bird for the Mara. So, yay. But a more common bird for the Mara, but looking quite nice and puffed up after getting a bit wet. Not its normal call. Hopefully it does its normal call shortly. And there's a white-browed cuckoo, the rain bird. Let's hope it does its nice warbling call. And you can see the midges that are exploding out after the rain, buzzing around the cuckoo. Okay, now we've got a lovely little vantage point down to the Mara River up ahead here, so let's go have a look. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to definitely come back through here tomorrow, because sometimes during big storms, juvenile palm nut vultures get blown around and appear in areas where you don't expect them, and they can actually hang around. So I will definitely come past here tomorrow morning, and I'll hope that we'll be able to get a bit of a better view of him and maybe some better light, or her, at the moment, because it's quite far away, but they can hang around. So I'll show you their distribution when I stop after going through the muddy bits here. Once we get to the edge of the magnificent Mara River. Lara Moore would like to know, does that vulture have a less bald head than the other vultures? Indeed it does. Okay, so while we wait here, I'll show you a little bit better with the... So as I was saying, it's distribution. There we go. So we are up here somewhere, just up there. So you can see it's not traditionally occurring in this area at all. When we were on the other side, we during our holiday, we saw quite a few palm-nut vultures, but not on this side. So it's a really nice find for this area. And if we have a look at, there we go. So it doesn't have a bald head at all. So I think we had a juvenile one that was in between changing from juvenile to adult colors. So that there's the juvenile there. And you can see the bald bare around the eye, a very distinct bill. That's what they look like when they fly. They're very pretty birds when they're flying. They're adult. I just swallowed a midge, sorry. There we go. Aaron from New Zealand says Egyptian vulture next. I would be very excited to see an Egyptian vulture. It is one of my nemesis birds. I have not seen it. I'll find you a picture of an Egyptian vulture. Now, I've been in places where people have seen them just before, in the Serengeti, and, let's see, I can't spell today. There we go. That's the Egyptian vulture there. So it's the rarest, one of the rarest of the vulture species. Now, also one of the only birds that's very clever. What they'll do is they'll take bones and they'll fly really high and then drop them onto the rocks to open up to get to the marrow. So quite an intelligent vulture, and you can see, I'll just pop there. They might be here. They can be here, but it's very, very rare to see them in this part. They're much more common up towards northern Kenya and into Ethiopia. Now, we have some hippopotamus, but before we go to them, we have some spur-wing lapwings up on the little sandbank there. No crocs today. Here we go. Hello, lapwings. And let's just move around the corner a little bit so we can get a better view of those hippopotami. Oh, one got a fright. It was just below us. I don't think it realized. Oh, the male's giving some threat displays. Opened his mouth. Oh, no, there's a bit of an argument going on. But they got a bit of a fright. Sorry, hippos. There we go. Calm down. It's all okay now. But these two seem to not be getting on too well at the back. There we go. What's going on? No, I thought they might have a little bit of an argument. Now, Joe, if we just look at that wake with that hippo's up there. Now, I can tell you from being on small boats in rivers like this all over Africa, when you see a wake like that coming for you, you really, really do get a bit worried. And I've been in a few boats that have been actually hit by hippos. Fortunately, we didn't capsize, or they didn't put a hole through the hippo, or through the boat. One hippo, however, got a very big headache because he decided he was very strong and he attacked a stainless steel barge and came off second best with a headache, I'm sure. Okay, while we sit here and enjoy the view of the magnificent, murderous Mara River, let's go to Noel, who's doing some birding.
So super jealous of Brent's palm nut vulture. Very, very, very cool. I haven't seen one in a few months, and the last one I saw was up in Zambia. But we do have a bird for you here. We've got a red-crested coron. Unfortunately, this coron has injured itself. So we came up and it was sort of hobbling away, and you can actually see that how it's holding its one leg up. So it's either going to sort itself out or, unfortunately, become food. So it's not necessarily the nicest thing to talk about, but it is something to talk about in terms of everything functions within the ecosystem to perform its role. And then after it's finished its role, it then becomes food. Its body then goes into becoming the nutrients in the soil, or it physically becomes food. So this little coron, I think, is deciding whether or not to keep trying to move with us here. But it's also keeping an eye on all these little winged alights that are flying about. And it's amazing how close it is, because we really are getting some nice shots with the detail around the eye, and that you can see the textures of the feathers along the head. And a nice good look. I've been busy over the years taking photos of birds to put into a slideshow just for myself, like a bird catalog. So if there's any viewers out there who are as keen as I am for something like that, this would be a good one to do, maybe there with a little bit of a screenshot, just to add into your birding, what shall we call it, encyclopedia. Now, we had our birding big day yesterday, and there was a few people that were asking what apps can I tick off. The apps that I personally use, and I know several of my friends uses the Roberts Bird app, but also you can make your own from the show, and do a PowerPoint like what I do to keep my knowledge going. Oh, shame, buddy. So that's a thought there. Chris is saying you had a lapwing with a sore foot this morning as well. Maybe it's sore foot bird day. Shame, these poor guys. It happens, though, when you've got such slender legs and you're running about as quickly as these birds do, especially these birds that do fly a bit but dwell on the ground, you are going to twist a foot every now and then. So with that bird app I was talking about, I know Tristan plays a lot of bird calls for you. I think Brent also likes to play bird calls for everybody, so the calls are also on there. So that's also something you can download and put on your PowerPoint. But if you feel like a project, that might be a good project. You can do it with flowers, because we're coming into flowering season. You can do it with the birds. You can do it with trees that we do. I've also got a flower PowerPoint going, and ooh, get it! Almost. No, not quite. Shame, buddy. Okay, well, yeah, I feel sad for him as well. But again, everything happens for a reason, and it'll either sort itself out or it won't. And you can see it still is able to get around. It's not completely out of commission. But we will leave you be, our little feathered friend. Maybe it's just a little bit of a sprain. David, you're saying maybe we should take it to the vet. So with the wild animals, again, everything happens for a reason, and it's very important to let wild animals be wild. Also, the utilization of resources for something like that, those resources are most likely better spent somewhere else. And it's heart-wrenching and it's difficult, but you kind of have to let things be. When we as humans interfere too much in the bush, it can sometimes have consequences that we didn't necessarily foresee. So as sad as it is, it's all right. What will happen, and it will either sort itself out or it becomes food for something else that also needs to carry on and live. I think Ralph has some crickets. Let's head over to him.
Alrighty, folks, we just we're doing a little bit of 4x4ing, and we came to a little pan, and we had a little Jacobin's cuckoo that we were watching right there as he's flown off, as birds like to do as soon as we put the camera on them. Very similar to that of giraffe, they like to move off. But we're moving through the thick stuff here. We were trying to follow up on where the elephants had been sighted near to one of the pans in the area. Seems they've shifted off slightly, so we've just been going through the thickets, and we're just going to move a little bit forward. I've just seen some squirrels running around in front, and we're going to have a look there. But I like coming on these lesser used tracks sometimes. You never know what you're going to find. And it's nice to go on a little bit of a feeling of discovery. I can hear that Jacobin's cuckoo calling now. There's just a ring-necked dove drinking here. I don't know if VM can spot it over there. There he is. And, something quite interesting. Watch what he does. You see, he's actually able to drink straight. Now, not all birds have got a gullet. Now watch, you see there, he's drinking straight. It's very similar to that of a Corey bustard, where they don't have to bring their head up to swallow back. So they're actually able to swallow with their head down. Not all birds are able to do that. So that's something quite special with the doves and the bustard, the Corey bustard in particular. I'm not quite sure if all the bustards can do that. I know the Corey bustard in particular can, but the doves can do that as well. So, and I'm sure you've seen it, especially a very common one that you very see is like ducks. If they drink, they take a couple of mouthfuls and they have to literally lift their head up and then swallow. That's because they don't have a gullet. But the doves and the bustards do. Okay. While we're watching this and while I'm carrying on through the thickets, up in the Mara, Jamie's got a lovely lion pride for you.
Oh, today is just full of unusual stuff. This is the Angama pride. This is the Angama pride almost at the Samaki swamp. This is the furthest I have ever seen them in this direction. What is this lioness digging for? Or is she just digging for a possible, in a very cat-like manner, for a possible toilet spot? Well, the cubs are playing too much there for it to be anything like a warthog or anything like that. I have never seen the Angama pride this far east. That is not in itself that unusual. In this kind of situation, they spent a lot of time in one place, and they did that because they had young cubs. So they were denning them there. It's just like what the Nkuhuma pride did. And essentially, it's to keep the cubs safe and for them to grow up in a place that they know. But then, once you get to the point where the cubs are large enough to follow the lionesses, and it would mean that they're moving back into the original Olololo territory. So the Angamas and the Olololo pride are the same pride. There was apparently a split. So that would make sense for them to be all the way over here. But I've also seen the 3 marsh breakaway lionesses. But then again, territories are not set in stone, they are fluid. So to see them in a place where we've never seen them before at least explains where they've been. Hey, Angamas, you've kept us very confused. Now, unfortunately, I can't stay with them for too long, and I have a confession to make. That's entirely my fault, I'll be honest with you. I meant to ask for a ranger tonight, and I wrote the message and I didn't send it. And so when it came time to leave, I couldn't understand why there was nobody ready to go with us, and it was entirely my fault. So I confess and I apologize. I had too much stuff happening at one time. I was busy trying to sort out the rain covers on the vehicles, and I just didn't hit send. It happens to the best of us, I guess. I hope. But it does mean that we are going to have to leave because we do have to start rushing for the gate. But my sincere apologies. I would love to stay with them. I've never seen them here before. It's fascinating to see them here, and I'm very, very happy to see them again. Oh, now hold on. What is going on in there? What have you found? Could it be it was a warthog? And well, if it is, those cubs are playing a dangerous game. I wonder what it is they found. I can't get any closer. It's a non-off-roading area. I mean, one of those cubs is trying to climb right in there. What's there, lions? What have you found? I hope it's not a warthog, because if it's a warthog and it comes barreling out of there at high speed, it's going to be like bowling pins in terms of cubs flying about. I don't think it is, though. But they really are digging. And looking so fascinated. Deadhead Tom, you say that you think it would have been a warthog. I think that even the cubs at this age would have enough common sense to know that they shouldn't be doing that, if that is what it is. I would have thought, because a warthog is a dangerous thing, even to an adult lion, potentially. Especially because they back into the holes, and they have razor sharp tushes that could do severe injury should they come flying out. What it could be is an aardvark. David, did I hear that correctly? You said prairie dog. I don't think so, unless it's very, very lost. But although we have had an afternoon of lost animals, have we not? I don't think it's going to be a prairie dog, though. I'm going to guess not. Mongoose, maybe? That could be as well. Perhaps they're being playful. They've heard the mongoose moving around. And a mongoose that's disappeared underground. The cub on the left just wants to play, really. Hey guys, I wish I knew what was going on over there. Fascinating. Okay, I really do need to go. I would love to see how the situation plays out. Oh! Okay, it's just, what time is it? 5 more minutes. Just to see what is going on here. I'm pushing it, but 5 more minutes. I really want to know what's going on, because every now and again something gives them a fright, and they all jump backwards. And the lioness is very half-heartedly digging there as well. She's quite full, so they have eaten recently. Possibly even last night. And that one young lioness cub is just not giving up. Kestrel Fox has suggested a spring hare. All of these are possibilities. I mean, apart from the prairie dog, which is unlikely. And all of these are possibilities because anything small that moved might have attracted their attention. I'm desperate to see what it is. I'm really curious. Mom's putting a bit more work into it now. What are you after? What is in there? If something ran in there and they saw it go in, it would explain the obsession that they currently seem to have. This is so interesting. A mystery. Just sit and watch this for a little bit. Not overly enthusiastic, but it's really, really deep. I mean, they've opened it right up. Deadhead Tom, me too. Deadhead Tom says he'd hate for our first proper aardvark sighting, or my first proper aardvark sighting, to be between a lion's teeth. You know, of course, for our new viewers, I've never seen an aardvark. I've got some kind of aardvark curse against me. No matter who sees them or where they see them, I never see them. It's utterly bizarre. It's quite uncanny. I've even been on an aardvark capture. I have lived in a part of the world where aardvark sightings are famous, and I still haven't seen one. I've either been asleep or looking the wrong way or something. Lioness has given up. Has she? Or is she going round the other side? I think she's going to give up. The cubs might keep going for a little while. Younger and more inexperienced. They are certainly dedicated to whatever's going on. I wonder how long they've been doing this. What is going on? Now Lioness is moving back in. Now if it is an aardvark, it is probably tunneling as quickly as possible away. Away from them. Judy, you say that you didn't know cats were diggers. They do dig in situations like this. So lions especially, will dig out something that's gone underground. Most of the time, they give up because whatever it is that's escaped from them is just too deep. So they're not going to carry on digging infinitum, but they do dig. All of the big cats will dig, but a cheetah won't dig something out of a hole. But a leopard or a lion will, and a leopard will even climb in after whatever it's going for. Resting? Or are the cubs sticking their heads down there? No, they're resting now. No, not quite. Even the little ones come to have a look. Oh, can you see the dirt spraying around, spraying away from them? Something digging away as quickly as it possibly can. That's why that was dirt. There was dirt flying there. That's what's been giving them a fright. I think it's an aardvark. I don't think they'd be brave enough to all stand right in front of where a warthog would come flying out. Although you never know, injuries happen. Maybe this is how lions get injured when we don't see it happen. It would be very, very foolish for them to be standing in front of a warthog burrow like this, at least for the cubs. But they're big now, and that hunting instinct is powerful. Amazing. I just wish we knew what was under there, or if they're going to keep digging, or if they're going to give up. You think the cub at the back getting sprayed with facefuls of dirt. I do feel sorry for whatever's under there. Can you imagine how utterly terrifying that must be? Oh, one cub's given up. Can you imagine how terrifying it must be to be underground and you know that there's lions digging their way towards you? Gracious, it must be terrifying. The sound of the claws scraping. Oh, I do feel so sorry for it. Okay, Lioness has moved into prime position. Prime digging position. Oh, that hole's deep. I think she's hit roots as well. Oh, she's hit another tail. Cub getting covered in dirt. Blinking at her as if to say, hey, hey, watch my face. What are you after? Kirst, I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. How much longer can I stay? Technically, I was meant to be gone about 5 minutes ago, possibly 10 minutes ago. I do need to move, though. Sorry, Arch. I need to move. Hey. Hi. Good, thanks. How are you? Did you see what went down there?
Yeah, a warthog.
Warthog, are they after it? Okay, thank you.
But I don't think they will succeed.
I don't think so either, but we'll try. Thanks.
Where's Tandy?
Where's?
Tandy?
I don't know. I'm heading back right now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he was out as well.
Yeah. Sour. Oh, Scotty. I thought he asked where my Ascari was. That's a different thing entirely. Oh, Scott's not out. Scott's on leave. My bad. Alice, in answer to your question, I really, really, really need to go. I'm sorry, I didn't know that it was working. We can try and do a 2-minute one quickly. A quick action broadcast, because this is fascinating. We are losing light though. Okay, let's go. I'm ready when you are. So everyone, we're going to be joined by a further audience. Hello and welcome to a truly gorgeous evening here in the Maasai Mara of Kenya, where we're watching an extremely interesting example of animal behavior. And we've got a massive pride of lions here, and what you're seeing is happening right here, right now at 6:15 in the Kenyan evening. It's golden light, and this pride of lions that numbers 17, 4 females and 13 cubs, have discovered something underground. Now, I've just been told by one of the other guides in this area that it was in fact a warthog that has gone racing off underground, and now we're watching them as they attempt to dig it out. Now, because this is live, it means that you can ask questions in the comments section below, so please do send through your questions. We'd love to hear from you. This could go on for a very, very long time, but we just wanted to show you this example of fascinating behavior. You can see the lioness is panting. She's tired. She's been working really, really hard at trying to dig this warthog out, and 9 times out of 10, a mission like this will not be successful. The cub on the right of her is making an effort, but not succeeding particularly well. David, that is very interesting, isn't it? Lions don't dig like dogs at all. I have seen them use 2 paws occasionally, but most of the time you are absolutely right. They use 1 paw to dig, completely different to the approach that something like a dog might take. So she is indeed digging with 1 paw, but I think they've given up. Deborah, in New Hampshire, you say jumbo. Well, jumbo to you as well, Deborah, in New Hampshire. It's wonderful to hear from you. I hope you are enjoying a truly stunning sighting. Oh, cubs are playing a little bit, but the lioness has got up again. Is she going to keep digging? I think they're going to give up in this scenario, and I think that this warthog is lucky. But I was just thinking, imagine how terrifying it must be to be that poor warthog underground, listening to the sound of the lions trying to dig you out. Now, this is also very, very dangerous for the young cubs. They don't realize, but a warthog can be a very strong creature, and it's got very sharp tusks. So it could potentially result in injury if it comes bursting out. Now, we have a question about how deep the lions can dig. They're not going to dig too deep. They're not natural diggers. What they've done is they've basically excavated an existing burrow. So the warthog's burrow could be easily 3 meters underground, all the way down to the bottom. It will also have several different escape tunnels Oh. Cub dashing back out. You can see the reflexes there. Now the lioness is really going in. Philip, you say that hunting above ground is too mainstream. The Angama pride, which is the pride that we're with, is underground. Absolutely. Look at her feet. Her feet are covered in dirt. The cub jumped back because the dirt went flying. The warthog's trying to dig itself even deeper underground. Oh, lioness getting cross with the cub. Probably actually got scratched by its claws while it was trying to help her dig. It's a young female cub, around about 9 months old, and desperate to help mum. Lucario, no, there's no chance of the cub getting stuck in the hole, or at least a very, very slim chance. The warthog's been digging backwards, so that whole entrance is covered in dirt. It's been desperately trying to dig itself further underground. So there's no chance of the cub getting stuck. However, there is a chance of the cub getting very badly injured. If the warthog comes running out, a warthog can exit a hole hurtling at speeds of around about 10 meters, possibly even 15 meters per second. Now imagine that. A big warthog can be 100 kilograms, a very big warthog. Over 200 pounds. Imagine that racing out at that sort of speed. Imagine the impact that would have with sharp tusks. It would be something phenomenally dangerous for those cubs. Catherine, the only way that they could avoid tusks and injury would be to launch themselves backwards as quickly as possible and hope that the warthog doesn't run into them. What an absolutely fascinating sighting this is. Lioness digging down deep. She's tiring. I think in this case, folks, the warthog's going to get away. I don't think they're going to manage to dig it out. You can see she's panting, she's exhausted. Absolutely amazing. So a really, really fascinating example of animal behavior that we're getting to see. Digging further, the ground is very soft at the moment, which is why she's able to do this. Lions, as we spoke about before, aren't natural diggers. So she's able to do this because there's been lots of rain and the ground is very, very soft. She's exhausted. Hard work, especially when you've got a full belly, as she does. None of the other lionesses interested in helping her. They've all gone fast asleep. And I think this could go on for a very long time. If she doesn't get any assistance from the adults, this could extend for a very, very long time. And so, I think what we're going to do is we are going to say goodbye to those of you joining us on this action broadcast. It's been marvelous sharing this special example of animal behavior with you, live from the Mara in Kenya. So from myself and my cameraman Archie, who is bringing you these wonderful images, it's time for us to say farewell, but stay tuned for further action broadcasts. Okay, that lioness really, really doesn't want that cub to come too close. We have to go, we have to go. I've got to race off, so I'm going to send you across to Rolf and Juma and make my way to the gate.
Right, folks, we had some lovely birding sightings while we were busy following up on some of the guys that just let me know that there's some elephants in the area. While we were moving through, we spotted some wattled starlings, and that Jacobin's cuckoo that I said was a Jacobin's cuckoo was in fact a Levalence. I didn't see that streaking on the throat, so sorry about that little wrong identification there, but I have heard that there's some elephants in the area, so we're just going to come and have a look here quickly at Vulture Dam, and after that we're going to continue on our search for those spotted cats. But it has been a little bit of time since we were notified that there were some elephants here, so we're just going to check if they're still in the area. Not sure if they will be, but we just see if they're here by the dam, and after that we're going to continue. It does look like they have in fact moved along. Time and animals wait for no man. So let's continue up over the dam wall, and then we'll head out onto the other side and see if we can see those leopards. Nobody's picked up on anything as yet of real interest in terms of the bigger cats. It was only this elephant sighting that I did want to follow up on, but we might still find them in the area. Down at the waterhole now I can see there are some nyala, so we'll just pop in and have a look there while we're on our way through. Everything has been feasting on these alates, the flying termites, as I said before. There's a whole host of nyala over on the other side there, Wiem. They're moving through the brush, feeding as they go. Small bachelor herd of nyala bulls. Quite content in each other's presence. No real dominance behavior going on there at the moment. Normally when there's a female around, then they'll start sparring and squaring up, trying to work out who's the boss. So they're feeding quietly there. I'm just going to move forward a little bit. Let's see, there are some birds down here. Looks like some Egyptian geese, the ever-present Egyptian geese. And I'm still not seeing where these elephants have disappeared to, but we'll keep looking. And the clouds are coming and going. As soon as the sun pokes through, it is rather hot, but it's still got that very changeable feel to it. Chantal, have I or any of the other guides ever been, sorry, what? Kirsten in control, have I ever been what? Have I ever been to Egypt? Have I ever been to Egypt? Unfortunately, I haven't been to Egypt. I would love to go and see the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of that. I haven't been further north than Angola and Zambia. So, well, obviously I've been to Europe, but in southern Africa, the furthest north I've been is just over the Kunene into Angola and just over the Zambezi into Zambia. So that's the furthest north I've been. I've traveled extensively, however, in southern Africa. But once we cross over those rivers, I don't know much about it at all. I have been to Europe, and the next site for me would definitely be to have a look at that northern part of Africa. I do really want to go into that area and see what it's about. But I find it fascinating, all that old civilizations, the pyramids, and I hear that there has been new discoveries even this year of new tombs that they've discovered within the pyramids, and it's still a lot of that so unexplained. The level of how can I say, the civilization, with them having the way that they've built those pyramids, but the technology, should I say, of such a primitive we would say, primitive civilization, but with them being able to design something like that and actually having built it. I mean, I've heard that a lot of people think that there were some external powers involved there. It almost seems as such because it's such a massive feat to have been able to build those things. But humans are very intelligent, and I'm sure that there are ways and means. Picking up on some big animal tracks here, but it's not our elephants. Right, I'm going to continue searching along here. I'm looking up on these elephants. I'm also going to continue looking for those cats. But in the meantime, let's cross to Noelle and see what she is up to.
Hello, I hope you all enjoyed the cricket that was actually a cuckoo with Ralph. Sorry about that. I had a good laugh. So, exciting update. One is the Nkuhumas are in Biffleshoek, which isn't exciting for It's exciting because hopefully from where I am at the moment that they're going to pop over. But the even more exciting news are about 4 leopard tracks to help out, and I all sort of spread out across the property to give us the best chance of finding you on this side. So Herbie is part of the tracks of Tandy, looping around, join him in that area, and we're just checking out her peripheries of where we think she's moving. It sounds to me, from what he said, that she Sorry about that, everybody. Hit a little bit of a rough patch there around Biffleshoek Dam. So as I was saying, Herbie's got some nice fresh tracks for Tandy, and sorry for the bumps, we are gonna go help him out. So we are just taking up the north and eastern part of the area and hoping we pick her up. She's moving away from the den site. Which is good. It means that she's possibly out for a scent marking stroll, or maybe she's out for a little bit of a hunt. So Seb and I have our eyes peeled, and we are looking at all these Impala that look like they would be a good snack for her. But it's life. It's what happens. Okay. Let's head to Ralph while we busy.
Right, folks, we're still heading along. We've just spun around because we just wanted to have a look in a completely different area. So I'm just continuing along, and while I was driving along, I heard one of my favorite little birds calling. It's one of our migratory birds and one of the cuckoos, and the way that we've always remembered it and how we've always taught our students when we're training is that he says, "I'm so sad." He does the, and that's the black cuckoo. "I'm so sad," and he definitely sounds like he's very sad too. Just hearing some spurfowl making a bit of a racket. I wonder what bothered them. Not alarm calling, they just got bumped by something. Maybe it was an antelope walking through. So we'll continue up along the road here. James, question from James: has there been any reports of where those buffalo or nyati have been seen recently, or where they've been moving? The last I heard was that they were up near Buffel's Hook, so slightly towards the boundary, and maybe have headed out at present. And it seems like the Nkuhuma pride of lions has been following them as well, because they haven't been seen now as well. So as soon as we had the buffalo, we had the Nkuhumas, and as soon as we haven't seen them, the same with the lions. So it might be the reason why we're not seeing the Nkuhumas, and probably more so why we haven't seen them. So just carrying on along the road here a little bit, really just looking to show you something interesting. As game drives go, we just try and find whatever we can along the way. I did have some lovely things for you, but that's the way it works. If we stop in one spot, we see some lovely things, and then as soon as we cut back to us, they move off. So that's the luck of the draw, isn't it? But we won't stop trying. Now, where are these kitty cats? We've been waiting to get some sign of them. Everybody has fanned out, and we're all talking to each other and trying to find out if anybody's had any sightings, had any signs, and nothing as of yet. So let's just keep going. Let's not forget, folks, next week, well, it is Sunday today for us in the bush. It's another bush day, but I know it is Sunday today. Tomorrow, Monday, being the start of Arbor Week. And we're going to do lots of trees, so I'm not going to stop for trees today. This morning I did with the false marula, and I gave a little bit of an explanation there, but I'm going to do lots of trees next week for Arbor Week. So at present I'm just going to try and concentrate on finding some of those bigger cats. I'm also in the position where to identify all the individuals at the moment, and I want to, I've got the whole family tree and everything now, but I'm going to continue along the way. It seems my signal is going on, so let's cross to Noelle and see what she has found.
All right, I have not found anything as of yet. We're still on the hunt. Herbie is now on foot tracking through the block, and we are busy checking the road. So we've got a two-pronged approach to find our gorgeous Tandy and hopefully be able to show her on screen. So something that we had chatted about this afternoon before we left, Ralph and I, is because of all the moisture we had yesterday, that a lot of the cat species will be out marking territory, which is good for us. And it was warm today, but it's not too warm, and it's not so warm that everything will want to be lying in the shade. It is a good temperature for things to be moving during the daylight. So I am, as always, forever hopeful. So what we are doing now is Every now and then I'm just checking game paths that come off just to see maybe if she crossed, and just checking in the road a little bit to see if I can pick up anything there. And then also just checking for her herself, not just her tracks. So from what Herbie was telling me, it looks like he says that she was busy drinking water and then was sort of stalking something near that pan. And so to me that possibly means not only is she out marking territory, but that she's also very hungry. And of course she would be hungry. She's got her cubs in her den. We still, as far as I know, don't know how many, as the den's been shut down for now while they're still so teeny tiny. But hopefully around New Year's time we will be able to see them. Maybe a little bit before, but my guesstimate is going to be New Year's. I do know Karula, who is a beautiful leopardess that many years ago I saw for a few times. She was very relaxed and used to like to bring her youngsters out quite early. Tandy, I'm not quite sure. To me, I think she would probably be like a normal leopard and sort of wait about 3 months, but I don't know. Viewers, you must tell me, can you remember what age she brought out her last set of cubs to show to the world? Be interested to know, building up the information for this area. So also while we're driving like this, we're also going to be checking inside of trees. Maybe we get lucky and she's made a kill for us already. Also, it's just a really gorgeous afternoon. Good temperature, smells nice, it smells like summer, it smells fresh. It's that wet African soil smell. Not the same as red soil. Red soil has a different smell, but the sort of low-felled, slightly humid, very balmy afternoon. We're also going to have a nice sunset for the first time in a couple of days, which will be lovely. Fantastic question, Philip. Philip, you're asking which species removal would cause the longest domino effect. Now, Philip, for me, I actually think it would be bees. I don't know if everyone has been following the concern over the past few years with bee species numbers plummeting. Without bees, we don't have tomatoes, we don't have avocados, we don't have coffee, we don't have many of the things that make my life very happy, avocados and coffee being two of them. But their pollinating and the way that they function in the ecosystem is integral for our survival as humans, but also for the survival of much of the rest of the world's sort of biosphere. So, Philip, I would say, sorry little spider, I would say bees, honeybees. That would be my guess. That's a really fabulous question. Philip, are you pondering serious thoughts this afternoon? Because as you know, I always love a good discussion. Catherine, you're saying you agree and say yes, poor bees. I also say that. I'm also just amazed that with something like bees being so integral to our food resources, and as you know, we as humans are very particular about how we function in the ecosystem, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more study on the bee issue and what's been happening with the bees. Sorry guys, I just want to triple check my map very quickly and just make sure that I am going where I need to go for Herbie. I'm wondering if he needs me to go farther north on Drakensberg. Let's do this portion of Drakensberg and see what happens. So I've got most of the roads in Juma down by now, but every now and then it's nice to take a look at the map for me and just sort of gauge distances for me, I'm very used to quite large areas, and so the spaces between roads is very large and big and wide, and here it's a little bit smaller, so it's taking me a little time to adjust. Sharon, you're curious if I've ever followed a honey guide. Sharon, I haven't, but I would be fascinated to do that. I have friends who have tried it and ended up nowhere, and also ended up with honeycomb. So yeah, no, I haven't, but I think that would be super interesting. Sorry, Chris, you're saying someone did it live on the show and it worked. Steph, to the beehive. Oh, that's fantastic. Very, very, very cool. No, and for anyone that's wondering what we're discussing, honey guides and following and beehives, there's a story about greater honey guides in particular, which is a type of bird, who makes a very specific call when it either finds a human or finds a honey badger. And if it makes this call and you follow it, it will lead you to honey. But then they say that you must make sure to give it some of the honeycomb, because if you don't, the next time its call will lead you to a black mamba. So that's very cool. Now, my pondering thought for the day off of our honey guide, Steph didn't give it honey. Uh-oh, guys. Well, next time we see Steph on camera, we better remind him. It gave it some termites. All right, that's not so bad. So honey guides have the ability from birth to be able to digest honeycomb. And as far as I know, they're the only bird species that's able to break that down. So now it's sort of the chicken and the egg factor. When they're born with this ability, does it mean that it was a learned habit from the honey guide that eventually led to the evolutionary tract of being able to digest that honeycomb, or were they just automatically born with it? That's my pondering thought for you all to ponder today, and my fact for the day. I haven't really been doing fact for the day recently. I think I need to come up with some more facts for everybody. Willow Wanderer, you're saying that the first time that you saw Tumba, which is Tandy's most recent cub, it was 3 months and 1 day after the fact, which is pretty normal leopard behavior. Thank you very much for that information. It's always interesting to me. There was a female that I used to work with on another property named Ishangile, and she was super, super, super relaxed with us and her cubs, and I mean, we used to end up in the craziest scenarios with her, and you would think that a normal leopard would be like, I'm gonna eat you, get away, and she'd be like, oh, I don't mind that you're standing there and my cub's on the other side of you, welcome, this is her, you know, she's too much. It was the craziest thing, and that was just her personality. Now her daughter Impala, who's my favorite leopard of all time, Impala means heart, Impala is not like that. Impala is like, go away, go away, go away. I want to have nothing to do with you when I've got these small cubs. And then one of her daughters, who used to be called 1-3 female, I don't know if she's still called that, she as well, she was like, I want nothing to do that. Sorry, we're having a little bit of signal issues as I come through Lumawati here, so let's head on over to Ralph, and I'll see you just now.
Okay, folks, we've continued on once again, looking for those elusive leopards, but we've come across a lovely little herd of male impala near to Twin Dams, and they've been doing a little bit of sparring and so on as we made our way towards them. And I don't know if VM can have a look on the right here. We've got our Hardy-Dar ibis, and I know up in the tree on the left-hand side, I was told that there's a lovely nest of these guys in this jackalberry tree. So they're walking around just probing for all sorts of worms and grubs and things in the grass. It would be lovely now after the rain. Ground is nice and soft and lots of things coming to the surface. So I'm just going to move forward a little bit, and so that we can get a nice view of this waterhole. We might actually see some of these animals moving forward and starting to drink. They are a little bit nervous, so just watching them. You know, animals will get nervous once they move down towards the water anyway, because they do become a little bit vulnerable. But it's a lovely group of impala there. They're all in prime condition, and we don't always just want to race and try and find the leopards. We do need to sit and watch sometimes, because we don't want to miss any action in between. You never know when a leopard might pop his head out. And there's a couple of males there just starting to spar a little bit. Always lovely to watch impala as well, and they'll all be marking as well as they move along. They're all still fighting with trees and bushes as they move along. You can see them, they're working on their neck muscles. So it also helps them for when they're sparring with each other. All these males have got lovely sets of horns. There we go, locking horns. And I've actually seen when a couple of springbok up in the desert have actually locked horns, honestly, that they couldn't get themselves free, and both of them eventually died and then were scavenged on. But they literally fought themselves to the death, but it was mainly down to the fact that they got locked and they couldn't get their horns unhitched. And there's a bird calling out of the left side here as well. He's going maiki, maiki, maiki. It's the class's cuckoo. That's a great little piece of sparring going on there. Once again, we're in that time of the sort of false rut. I've mentioned why, with the females dropping their babies. That increase in estrogen creates an increase in testosterone with the males, so they do start to spar a little bit between themselves as well. So it is a little bit quiet here. Other than those impala and the few birds that are calling, we're not going to sit here much longer. I think we're going to move on a bit. We're actually heading for Chitwa Dam. We're going to go up there and see if we can spot some baby crocodiles. Billy, aged 5, asking the question if monkeys can swim. Billy, I have seen monkeys swimming, but they generally don't really like the water too much. You can see that they sort of walk in the water with their arms out the water like this. So, and only their feet touching, so that they really look uncomfortable. Totally, Billy. And they don't generally want to go into the water either, because they're quite scared of crocodiles. And there's always that threat. And near down to the water, there can also be that possibility that a leopard is waiting in a big tree nearby. So they don't generally go for a swim per se, but I have seen them crossing water and going through small rivers, but I haven't seen them sitting and enjoying a swim. But I'm sure they can adapt in the water. They're not the best of swimmers, I would say. Billy? So we're heading up the cut line here now. We're going to go and see if we can find some interesting things up at Chitwa Dam. But we'll always stop along the way. We're always on the lookout. We're looking for those cats that are remarking their territories. And it's getting to that time of day as well. That sun's starting to dip. It's starting to cool off nicely. It's predator time. Always look up the little drainage lines in the rivers. It's prime area. Sorry for the bumps, folks. Just going up the other side of this little drainage line through the riverbed. heading up along the road. It's a lovely, fresh, cool breeze coming through now, cooling off nicely. And it seems like Noel's gamble paid off. The rain hasn't come, and we sat with our roof on, making it a little bit difficult for ourselves, but we thought that the rain might hit us a little bit, and we thought that we'd be the one smiling at the end of the day, but looks like Noel's going to be the one to be enjoying it more than us. Question from Ali: have I got a favorite leopard on Juma yet? Well, I definitely do, Ali, because when I did my interview drive, Tandy was very obliging and she helped me through my interview drive. She lay on the road, she let us follow her, she even had a crested Franklin charge her, which she had to hiss at and try and chase away, and when she got up and moved off, the Franklin continued to hunt her down. But for now, Tandy is definitely my favorite leopard, so you can tell us who yours is as well. Let me know. At the moment, I'll take any leopard, but Tandy would definitely be a treat. Hosanna has also been very obliging with him showing us his kill up in the Marula the other day. So those are the two that I've really enjoyed watching. This road is a little bit more used by vehicles, so it's got these corrugations on it, which makes for a little bit bumpy on the camera, as you can see. Now, those corrugations generally occur when you've got a lot of vehicles driving through, and as they accelerate or brake, but mainly when they accelerate, it makes little dunes. And as soon as there's a dune, then a vehicle goes over and the wheel spins a little bit more, it makes the dune even bigger. So that's why you'll see when you start to get these roads being used a little bit more, you start to get these corrugations. And that's what's making the camera bounce a bit. Ali, thanks for your response. And Shadow being your favorite leopard, I don't think I have seen Shadow as yet. So I still wait to see her. Shadow being Tandy's sister, that's fantastic. I really wait to see her, and I'll really like to put on a video for you as well. So thank you for that, Ali. Right, we're heading down towards Chitwa Dam now, and I'm sure it's going to be full of hippos and lots of birds. Carla, your favorite being Tamba and Hosanna. Well, that's understandable. They are two beautiful animals, aren't they? I'm doing all my research, trying to find out about all the individuals. Oh, wow, we've got a bird of prey flying off there. It looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. And we're going to follow him down towards the water. So like I was saying, I'm doing my homework on all the individual leopards, and I would like to be able to identify them and know them by name, but I'm still new here, so I'm going to try and learn them with you. Obviously, for the seasoned viewers, you can indicate to me once we find them. There's a couple of Wahlberg's eagles here being mobbed by, it's most likely a fork-tailed drongo. We're just freewheeling down the road because I think that predator is going to disappear off into the distance. So sorry about that I just carried on going. But we're just heading down now towards the water, and Viam told me that he's looking to see some baby crocodiles. Kebe asking the question, if you want to guide in South Africa, what would be your job? Well, there is a number of places. Kebe asking, what would be your job if I wanted to be a guide in South Africa? Where would I want to guide, I think? Excuse me, sorry, they were just clearing up there. If I wasn't a guide, what would my job be? What would I choose to do? I always wanted to be a pilot. That was one of the things that I always wanted to do, and I always wanted to be a professional surfer. So those were two things that I always wanted, but my father always said to me that I needed to get a proper job. So even as being a guide, he still says to me I need to get a proper job. But I do think that it's a proper job, isn't it? So at least now he can see what I do. So there's a difference in that. Wiem, I wonder if we should head up along the wall and see if we can see the crocs along the island. That might be an idea. We'll have a look along the wall, and then we might take a look behind the wall and see if there's any of our spotted cats hiding behind there. It seems that Noel might be in the area, but we'll continue along here anyway. It's not the best that we're both in the same spot, but we will have a look down here regardless. Thanks for all the questions and comments, folks. It's nice that you're interacting. It's great that we can answer your questions and get involved. We were up here this morning and we had a lovely time birding. I think there's a crocodile out the water on the island. Have a look over at him there. Williams is turning and having a look over on the island there. No, in fact that's a log that I saw. Sorry, VM. Can you see one there? Nah, sorry, my mistake. That was a log that looked like a crocodile. Easy enough mistake to make. A logadal. Thanks, Kirsten. A logadal, nice one. Alright. I think I'm going to back up a little bit and we're going to go down, just down behind the wall here and have a look and see. We're going to do a bit of a reversing safari now. I can drive at great speed. Okay, while I do my reversing safari and go down behind the wall and see if any of those spotted cats are there, let's see what Noel is up to.
Are we live? All right. Hi, everyone. So Herbie has done some expert tracking, and what he's found not only was Tandy's tracks, but also a drag mark. I don't know if you guys can see these marks here. This is a drag mark from, I would guess, a male Impala, from what I can tell from the drag marks here. We're just trying to ascertain direction at the moment. To me, I'm not getting her tracks just now, but it looks like she's moving this side. Looks like she's moving this side possibly with it. So we're just going to try and see what we can find regarding this. I just need a little bit more time to move in the area and to check everything. And then hopefully we'll be able to find her on foot. So if you all wouldn't mind just giving me a couple of minutes, just so I can have a really in-depth look and then be able to piece the story together with Herbie so that everyone can see, that would be super great. I just want to have a quick look around a little bit farther afield.
Okay, folks, sorry, I just changed my mind a little bit. I just wanted to come down the end of the dam here just to see, we might be able to spot some of these. There's apparently some little baby crocodiles that VM has Set might be up this end, so we just want to have a quick check, and then I'll turn around and head back towards the bottom of the dam wall, and we'll see if any of those cats are down there. That's his favourite spot of them. Ooh, just over there, Viam, there's a green-backed heron. Looks like he's got a fish. Oh, and he just swallowed it right down. How's that? So these guys are very good hunters, as you can see. And with that bill being a spear-like weapon, and he's right back to hunting mode. It did seem. No, he's just trying to wash down that meal he had. So we haven't seen a leopard or a leopard kill as yet, but we've definitely been seeing the birds having a feast this afternoon. We're not seeing any crocodiles at the moment. Just having a look around. The hippo with its little baby is just off over here, and sorry for that pole once again. The little baby keeps bobbing up and down next to mommy there. I think it's gone underwater now. The Deirdre's cuckoo calling. Deirdre's, he says. Deirdre's. It's a lovely setting as we pan out there. You can see that sun poking through. It's a lovely colour that we're getting at present. I'm checking on the other side. A lot of Egyptian geese. I didn't do it, asking a question, how much can a heron eat in one sitting? Well, it's like all of these birds. We were watching those wattled starlings earlier, eating termites until they literally looked like they were going to pop. But like this purple, green-backed heron, if the fish were readily available, I think they would eat quite a lot, and almost to the point where they would be on the verge of popping. So it's quite difficult to judge. That's quite a small little heron, that green-backed heron, but something like a grey heron or a black-headed heron, they're quite large birds, and they would obviously be able to eat a whole lot more, but how much exactly? I mean, they'll probably be able to eat 3/4 of their body weight in one sitting, and then and they would probably sit for a day or two trying to digest it. But they are able to fit quite a lot of food, especially when the going is good and the resources are available. It's like your penguins in the sea. When the sardine run is on and the sardines are readily available, they will feed until they are almost not able to move. It's like the gannets that fly down. They can't even fly eventually. And there Viam is just going in on the red-billed buffalo weaver's nests once again. Okay, so we've hung around here. We haven't been able to see any of these baby crocodiles. It's very serene. It's full of birds at the moment. The wind is cutting across the water a little bit, creating a bit of a ripple. It's very cool. On the opposite end of the water, we've got some waterbuck moving down towards the water there. They're also lying down, ruminating a little bit. And it's a lovely scene here next to Chitwa Dam. So as we pan out, there's a hippo coming out of the water a little bit. And moving across. It's almost time for them to be able to come out of the water and go start feeding. There's mommy with a tiny baby. And once again, you can see, even from this distance, you can see that pink around her eyes. And did you see how that baby is very playful, jumping around? Be time for them to go out the water soon. One real human question: is that baby suckling underwater? Not particularly, no. It's quite difficult for him to hold his breath. He can only hold his breath for a few seconds at this age, so he would wait for mommy to be either standing in the real shallows or moving out in the evenings. So it's quite difficult for him to hold his breath, so he won't be suckling underwater. And you'll see mommy tries to lift him up every now and then. all the viewers with the cutes and ums and ahs. It's lovely to watch these babies. You know, and it's that time of year as well. All the animals start to have the babies, and right next to us, it was indeed a little baby with this mommy here too. Wiem, I thought I was being a bit silly, but there is a little baby there, and if you wait on him, you will see the little baby pop up. Initially, when we arrived, I thought there was a little baby, and then I thought it took too long for him to come up, and I thought maybe I was being silly. But there is in fact one, and if you wait a little while, you'll see the little head pop up just to the right of where the mummy's eye is showing there. There we go. See, so he can't hold his breath for too long, and he'll be popping up every now and then. Yes, I think there's quite a big scar on the back of this hippo, and that would, and there's actually quite, if you're looking at it now, there's quite a lot of blood there now, even now. Not just a scar, there's fresh wounds there. It's almost like this animal has had some lions going at it. I wonder. Unless it's had some fights with some of the other hippos, which is also a possibility. Because I do think if this mommy was got at by the lions, I'm sure that baby would have been an easy target. But with mommy that size, maybe she fought them off. So for me, it's either that she's had a run-in with one of the other hippos, or she's had a run-in with a predator during the evening. But that's quite interesting. Question from Sheila: would the baby go... Oh, sorry Sheila, I'll answer your question now. But you see this red-billed oxpecker, it's actually feeding on those wounds. And they can sometimes be parasitic, like it's doing now. It's actually feeding on that wounds. And they can often do that with Impala, giraffe. They'll actually take off some of the parasites, and then they'll keep the wound open and they'll feed on it. So you see how it's actually being parasitic now. It's not actually helping that hippo at all. So the question was, would that baby go with the mommy to feed at night? Yes, absolutely. That baby's going to stay near to the mommy wherever it goes. So she would take it, and she would obviously try not to go too far, but that baby would stay. She wouldn't leave it with anybody else, and she wouldn't just drop it here leave it here in the water either. So that baby's going to be accompanied by mom, or the other way around, whichever way you want to look at it. But these two will stay together wherever they go. Okay, so like I said, we're going to move off from this hippo in a minute, and we're going to go down below the dam wall looking for those spotted cats. In the meantime, we can cross to Noelle and see what she has been looking for or finding.
All right, Herbie and I had a look around. Herbie's assessment is that it looked like she maybe caught a small warthog, so we're just busy circling the block again. And on our way around the block, we found this beautiful sight for everybody. So I think let's just take our moment of appreciation for the bush, and I'll be very quiet, and we can watch this gorgeous sunset and listen to the bush sounds. absolutely gorgeous as that sun slowly filters its way through those clouds towards the horizon. And as always, the colors are absolutely incredible. I hope you all could hear all the beautiful bush sounds in the background. There's some oxpeckers going, some Egyptian geese. Sounded like a barred owlet off to the back. The only thing we're missing is that sawing noise of Tandy, who is somewhere, hopefully not far from us. Absolutely spectacular. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you, Seb, as always, with your brilliant camera work.
Thank you.
All right, shall we carry on keeping and looking for our lovely lady Tandy? Jersey lady, you're saying that this would be a beautiful wallpaper for your desktop. I hope that you managed to get a nice screenshot. I would absolutely agree. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful setting. All right. The only thing that was missing is on one of those dead trees with, look, it's a little bit small, but Tandy lying there with her little dead warthog. Shame Herbie's been working so hard all afternoon. And it's so tough. The soil's very hard around there, so you can see where there was a bit of struggle in some of the looser soil, and then everything gets quite hard. So I'm crossing fingers and holding thumbs, and we're going to do our best to help him out and sort of circle this spot here. But of course, you know how I all love a sunset and showing you all the sunsets, so we couldn't miss that. It's also nice just to sort of sit and listen, because when you sit and listen, you can sometimes either pick up alarm calls or pick up calls from her. You never know. Okay, coming back towards our little pan here. And trusting that it was just a little warthog that she caught. I originally had thought it was, but horn drags were actually foot drags from the warthog itself. Let's just say from what we could see that it is a small one. It would mean that she would have finished it quite quickly and then hopefully started moving again. So now we just need to ascertain, but where did she move to? And unfortunately, it's starting to get dark. So where we were having a look, Herbie could only walk around for a little bit longer, and then I decided to get back in the car and sort of drive around. To try and utilize what little bit of light we have left to get the sighting if possible. So I think while I'm busy doing that, let's head back to Ralph and see what he has to say.
Okay folks, we've just come towards the airstrip. We had a look around the dam wall. There wasn't much action there after the hippos, and this was where the leopard was spotted yesterday by James. So they are young males, so they sometimes very often hang around in a similar area. So like VM said, we've got double the chance. There were 2 males in this area yesterday, so we just want to try our luck and see if we can spot one before the end of the show. We'll be quite lucky if we do, but never know. Always just want to give it a chance. Having a look in all of these marula trees that are ideal lying up spots. As we move through on the airstrip. Got some game in front of us. Thanks for the comments, Debbie. Let's cross to Noelle. She's got a bird for you.
How amazing is this? We have our Wahlberg eagle pair, the light morph. Sorry, I'm so excited. The dark morph and the light morph, and they're busy picking out the winged alights on the ground just here. So these winged alights, these termites, are super, super high in protein. I know that you saw earlier with Ralph, he had the vervet monkeys that were eating them, but this is just absolutely, absolutely fantastic. The other reason why it's so incredible is there's a confusion of guinea fowl that's not far off from them that is absolutely having a fit. Look, look, look. Having a fit that these birds of prey are down here on the ground and they're sort of circling them and they're calling and clucking, but at the same point the guinea fowl are also going for the winged alights. This is very, very, very cool. For me, this is better than a leopard. I love leopards, and I'm so excited at the thought of possibly seeing Tandy, but this is incredible. It's not often that you get to see birds of prey, especially birds of prey of this size, doing what we're seeing here. Yes, I love summertime. The last time that I saw, you see that guinea fowl coming in, Seb, to the left. It's like they're taking the same pathway. Just listen for a sec. Sorry, Curse, just say that one more time, Carla said. Carla, you're saying it looks like the Wahlbergs are wearing pants. It does. So, Carla, a physiological look of a true eagle is that they have feathers all the way down the legs. So Wahlbergs are in fact a true eagle with those feathers down there, and it does look like they're wearing pants. Shame, those guinea fowl are absolutely freaking out. And then eating at the same time. This is hysterical. The Wahlbergs are so unconcerned with those guinea fowl and just really after those winged alights. The last time I saw something like this, I was in the Kalahari Transfrontier Park, which is in the northwestern side of South Africa, and it joins in with Botswana and borders on Namibia. It's one of my favorite places. It's a brilliant place to camp. And we were there in February, and it had rained just a little bit. And every sort of bird of prey you could think of was on the road like this, going after the harvester termites that were coming out on the road. Notice how the guinea fowl started to quiet down a little bit. They're still giving a wide berth to these Wahlbergs, but they're after the same food source. So they're putting aside their differences, predator-prey difference, and just going at these termites. I don't know about everybody at home, but I'm over the moon with this. I think this is the best part of my day thus far. This is a really amazing sighting. It's interesting. Some of you are wondering, or many of you are wondering, are the Wahlbergs going to go after the guinea fowl? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no with some great certainty. I think if they were going to go after the guinea fowl, they already would have done so. I really think this is sort of like a peace treaty, like, hey, listen, we are after the same food source. There's enough of the food source for all of us. Let's just enjoy this moment. I mean, every now and then that pale morph there pushes away a guinea fowl, but yeah, just to get to the alights, there's no intention there. Also, just as a thought, as we're thinking about this, Wahlbergs will go for other bird species, but I would be interested to see them go for something as large as a guinea fowl. I've seen one try. I haven't seen one get it. I've seen sort of martial eagles get guinea fowl a little bit easier. Martial eagle is about twice the size of these Wahlbergs. Not to say that they're off the menu, but that could also be part of the reason why, is that it's on the periphery of their prey size. Oh, this is so incredible. So those winged alights, not only will the birds of prey eat them and the guinea fowl eat them, you saw the monkeys eating them, we can eat them as well. They're actually quite nice if you fry them up in a pan. It's almost like peanut butter. It is probably the only insect that I enjoy eating. Was Ralph also saying the same thing? That's hysterical. Yeah, they're good. I know any of you that have been watching for the past several weeks, when Jean-Dre was on camera with me, he kept trying to get me to eat all sorts of insects, and I was like, no, I'm not going there. But winged alights I'll eat. They're quite good. I'm glad Ralph feels the same. Favor Devon, you're curious if in the same clutch of eggs, the Wahlbergs will have pale and dark morph. There's also a buff morph. The buff morph is a bit tawny. So as far as I can think off the top of my head, they have 1 to 2 eggs, but they only raise the 1 chick. To me, the answer would be yes, and then it's just whichever chick they decide to raise, is being the healthiest and the strongest, is then the one that comes up. And so it could be a buff morph, could be a pale morph, could be a dark morph. I don't think they're looking at any of those morphs and saying, "Ooh, I like this morph a little bit better." But yes, you can definitely in the same clutch. I can't see why not, genetics wise, but they will only raise the 1 young. I've seen battleurs, dark morph, pale morph, and tawny morph. Now it's interesting because it's not in my book, you don't necessarily see all those morphs, but I've seen them side by side. One was extremely dark, one adult. I believe it was the male. The female was a sort of normal looking battleur, and then their offspring, that was an adult offspring with adult plumage, was much more of a lighter color, a buffier color. It was very interesting. So as we know, the battleurs go through a stage for about 6 to 7 years where it takes them to get their adult plumage into that beautiful white and black and a little bit of a tawny. But in that actual plumage, they had that third one that was there that had slight tinges and had been seen for many years on the property, sort of going through its adult stages, and then popped up like that. What's very interesting as well, and actually Ralph and I were chatting about this, depending on what area of the country you work in, is whether or not you've seen some of these morphs, particularly of the Wahlbergs. I've been very lucky in a lot of the places that I've worked where I've seen the tawny, the buff morph, the dark morph, and the pale morph. And Ralph was saying until he'd actually come up here, I believe, he hadn't really seen the pale morph. And when I was working in Northwest Province, we had more of the pale morph and less, from what I remember, and less of the dark morph. And I hardly ever saw a buff morph. And then here I've seen, I think, 4 or 5 pale morphs and that dark morph just in the month that I've been here. It's pretty interesting. So I don't know if there's also maybe a genetic pool per area, not necessarily on purpose, but it just happens to be that way. As a thought, I don't have a full answer for you, but just as a thought. Curious to think about. I'm still so fascinated by this sighting. How incredible. We had those lions digging with Jamie. We had the palm-nut vulture with Brent. We had the wonderful vervet monkeys eating the winged alights with Ralph. And now we've got the guinea fowl having a truce with the Wahlbergs eagles eating these winged alights as well. It's really been such a fascinating afternoon. that Wahlberg just decided that was enough. The guinea fowl were too close. So now, as it starts to get dark, the alights will come out a little bit more, but then the Wahlbergs will make their way back home and roost, as will the guinea fowl. They will also roost. So you must join us tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock our time, and hopefully we'll get more amazing sightings like this. Thank you so much from myself, Ralph, Jamie, Brent, Seb, VM, everyone in FC. You must have a wonderful, wonderful evening.